Food intolerances are something that come up a lot in the fitness and wellness space, but they're also one of the most misunderstood topics. Before we start, it's really important to say this is not medical advice. Food intolerances are different from food allergies, and this kind of testing is about awareness and information, not diagnosis. Food allergy involves the immune system and can sometimes cause immediate and severe reactions such as hives, rashes, and breathing issues. Food intolerance is different. It's usually digestive and is sometimes delayed. It can take a few hours up to a few days to show up. Common symptoms are brain fog, bloating, fatigue, digestive discomfort, as well as skin flare-ups. This delay is why intolerances can be so hard to track, because you might have had something 24 hours ago and you can't exactly pinpoint what it was because you had breakfast, lunch and dinner, and it's such a delay between eating and it finally getting into your digestive system and then causing the reaction. So this is why it's super important to get tested, because then we get to know what is causing the issues without having to try and go through a number of things. Fitness, people often focus on training volume, nutrition and recovery, but forget the digestive system, and this plays a huge role. If your body isn't tolerating certain foods well, you may feel sluggish during sessions, not be recovering as well as you could have, and sometimes it could even be something that is a hindrance to your training, as it can impact your sleep and energy levels. A lot of people who train regularly say, but I eat great, so why don't I feel great? And it could be due to what you're eating. I have sometimes felt that way during training. I'd be counting my calories and taking supplements, and sometimes I just don't feel 100%. And yes, it could be the weather and down to a number of things. Could be due to the phase that I'm in during my cycle. But I do have some questions about any food intolerances I might have. I do suffer with bloating at certain times, so I'm just trying to zoom in to see what the issues could be. So I was sent this kit by Supply Life. It is a at-home food intolerance testing kit that is designed to give me an insight on how my body may be responding to certain foods. So samples are analysed in a lab and the results will be shared in a report rather than being used to diagnose anything, which is an important distinction. So thank you again to Supply Life for sending me this kit. In this video, I am going to go through me taking the kit. I'll unbox it to show you guys what comes in the kit, and eventually there'll be a part 2 once I do get my results back from the lab and I've had a chance to discuss it with a nutritionist as well to see what's going on and if I have any food intolerances. With Supply Life, they test for over 200 different food intolerances. It's really easy and simple. As you can see, the whole kit is literally in this box. I'll show you the process today and show you how simple it is, and then we'll get into the results as soon as I receive them. So the kit comes in a nice small box that fits right through the letterbox. First thing which I thought was really helpful was the leaflet advising on the day to send the test. So it advised not to send it on a weekend. This card has a QR code that you can scan that shows you exactly how to take the sample. It's a really nice handwritten personalized note from Ricky, who is the founder of Supply Life. Then this is really important, the sample information card. It's imperative that the kit gets sent back with this information, as it won't be processed. Again, it comes also with a step-by-step picture guide if you didn't fancy scanning the QR code. It breaks everything down really simply in a way that it just is seamless to take it. And then lastly, again, something that is really important is the free post return envelope. So this is what we then post the sample in once we have done the test. So I'm filling out the information card just to get it done before the test so that I don't waste time having the sample out in the open. So once opening the full kit, it comes with multiple antibacterial wipes, plasters, and again, with multiple prick needles. Those are the pinky purple boxes that you see there. I think this is really handy for people who may be nervous or might not get enough blood from one needle. You obviously can't reuse the same needle, so it's really handy that they send more than one. So it's got the fill line, which is how much blood you need to put into the collection tube. Once you have filled the sample, they say to tap just to make sure. I'm just squeezing my hand a few times just to increase the blood flow. I also ran my hands under warm water for about 30 seconds as well. Then took one of the antibacterial wipes just to give my finger a nice clean. I went with my non-writing hand and probably one of my least used fingers, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so here we go. I did hesitate slightly, even though I've got so many piercings and tattoos. It was just something about me having to prick my finger myself that made me really nervous, but I just took a deep breath and just counted to 3 and went for it. So they say you must press and hold the needle down for 2 seconds just to ensure you get a good puncture. And it was really easy. It wasn't even like a sharp scratch. It came off pretty seamless. So the instructions say you must wipe off the first drop of blood and then start to massage your finger slowly to increase blood flow and drop it right into the collection tube until you get to that yellow fill line. Once you believe you have filled it, tap it on a flat surface and double check just to make sure that you have collected enough. And if you haven't, just put in a little bit more, which is what I had to do here because I was just under. Maybe even putting a little bit over just to be on the safe side as well. So all done, that was really easy. I just made sure that I triple checked that the cap was tight and that I had collected enough blood into the collection tube. Once I had done that, I washed my hands and then still went back in with a second antibacterial wipe just to clean up the small scratch and then covered it with a plaster. So once I had done that, I completed the labels and the form as I said before, just to get it done so I had less time messing around after collecting the sample. It's just your name, date of birth. You have to put 1 on the small collection tube. It is a little bit longer, the label, than the collection tube, so I did have to kind of fold it under a little bit. I just double and triple check that that is nice and secure. You only need 2 out of the 3 labels that they give you. So again, really nice that they send you a spare. So I'm now just putting the second label onto the other tube. So you have to make sure that you keep the tissue in there. I guess this is just to kind of take out any moisture and keep it nice and tight. So pop that second label on and then pop the collection tube into, or sample tube into the bigger tube. So as I said, I completed the main bulk of the form beforehand just to save time and not have the sample lingering. The only thing I couldn't complete was the time that I took the sample, which I was just filling out at the bottom there. I was then packing that into the clamshell box that they sent. And what I found really helpful, again, as I said, the pamphlet had a lot of photos in there and it comes with a checklist. So I was just looking at what it said first, which was double checking that I had filled the sample information form, which, as I said, I had done before. So I ticked that box. The next thing was saying if I completed the labels correctly, which again, as I said, I had done before just to save some time. So I was able to tick that off pretty smoothly. The next thing was checking that I had done the second label and put it onto the bigger tube, which again, as I said, I had done before. So I was able to tick that. The fourth thing was making sure that I had put it into the bigger tube without removing the absorbent pad, which I had done because the absorbent pad was still in there. So I gave that a big tick. And then lastly, it was making sure that all the information with the form was inside the clam pack, which is just the form and the collection itself. Once I had done that, I was able to tick off the final thing on the checklist. And this is it. The last thing that was left to do was to put this in the free post envelope, put my name and my address, and post it off. I was able to take my sample as a weekday afternoon, so I was able to post it the same day. But if you are not able to post your sample the same day, they do advise that you keep it in the fridge until you're able to send it off. And they advise this so that the blood doesn't clot and it doesn't affect the quality of the sample. If you're curious about my results and how they'll be interpreted, stay tuned. Part 2 will be dropping very soon. For now, this was just about showing the process honestly and setting the right expectations. If you're curious to find out about your own results, I've left my code below, but always do speak to a healthcare professional first before looking into certain things. As I said, you do have access to a nutritionist through Supply Life if you should get a kit from them. And it will break everything down and it will take about 7 working days for the results to come.